Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I am going to be sharing with you a project that I created for a swap. This swap was again hosted by Dina from Crafty Crafts by Dina on her Facebook group. And like I always say, if you have not joined the group, I do encourage you to join it. You will not be disappointed. But anyway, for this next swap, I kind of missed two swaps in between, one or two I believe. But for this swap, she made this really adorable mailbox, and that it would be fun for us to create it as well and send goodies to each other. So I am going to be making that. Now I do apologize, I ended up having to do the video as a voiceover, so this is sped up, but I am going to be linking a video where Dina shows you step by step on how she made this little box. She also did it on her Cricut, this I believe it was a Cricut design. So if you do have that available, you could do that as well. I think it is a lot easier because it does the cutting for you, so all you have to do is just put it together. But since I don't have it, I am going to be doing it the old-fashioned way. So what I did here, I just grabbed a sheet of 12 by 12 paper, and I used this pattern paper that has this coral color and super adorable polka dots. So I thought it was very, very cute. And I'm using a piece of orange paper that I am going to be putting on the inside for two reasons. Because I wanted to add a little bit of color to the inside and not just leave it be plain white, and also because I wanted to give it a little bit more support and reinforce the paper, because the cardstock is not that heavy. It's not too heavy weight, so I didn't want it to be bending too much. So just kind of serves as a dual purpose. My sheets of paper here, my measurements are slightly different than what Dina created on her channel, but in the end it's the same idea. Just you can come up with whatever measurements you want, or however big or however small you want your mailbox to be. In my case, I made this one to be 11 inches by 6. So my the whole body, it's going to be the 6 inches, and this is what that's going to be the length of it, and the height is going to depend on when you fold it. So after I scored it, ended up being 10 inches. There's about 4.5-5 inch span on it, which is pretty good. So I added some of the double-sided tape here, but I also decided to add some of my tacky glue on the gaps in between to make sure that everything was going to be glued together. And I'm just mirroring those two pages, so that way, like I said, to give it a little bit of support and a pop of color in on the inside of the box. So I am pressing down, making sure that this is glued very, very good. Because when I was kind of trying to flip it, some of the edges you could see like little grooves where the glue wasn't sticking all the way yet, so I had to press it down. I also had to trim a little bit on some of the edges because maybe when I was using my trimmer, it must have moved a little bit, but there was a tiny little corner that was off, and that was bothering me, so I had to just trim those down. And then I pulled out my scoring board again because I wanted to do the scoring for the little grooves or the little legs where my mailbox is going to be attached to the base. And I did this at 1/2 inch on each side. So in the end, you are gonna end up with a 10-inch paper once you have those folded, because you have the 1/2 inch on each side. And then I'm just testing it to make sure that I am going to be have that arch to my liking. Now for my base, I grab a piece of cardstock and I am cutting two pieces. Again, I am reinforcing it because I want it to be strong, and I am cutting two to be 4 by 6. So like I said, these two are going to be the base of the whole mailbox, and I am going to be doing the same thing. I'm going to glue them together, and then I am going to glue them onto my mailbox. Again, testing it to make sure that this is going to be looking good and it's going to be the correct height that I want it to be. For this step, I decided to just go ahead and use my tacky glue, and this again is a Simon Says glue. I am in love with this glue. I do not let it out of my sight. That's what I've been doing a lot of lately. So I have been watching videos or hearing some of you ladies say that you love the art glitter glue. I've seen May from May Made It. use it, and she swears by it, so I definitely will have to give it a go at some point. But right now I am not buying any craft supplies, or not many craft supplies, so I have to wait until I run out of what I already do have. But anyway, I am going to be gluing this now onto my base, so I'm just using the same glue and making sure that I match everything, and it's put together, so that way there's no gaps in between or anything. But you can see it just fits perfectly, and you put it onto the next one as well, and you're going to glue it. And then you can already see your arch is starting to form, and it is looking already so good. Now I just gotta say, this was a little bit challenging because I had made one before, but the ones that we made with my daughter, those were itty bitty ones, so that was a huge difference from this one, because this is the biggest one that I've ever made. But it was a lot of fun, and like I said, if you watch Dina's tutorial, you can see it is very, very easy to recreate it. And so what I'm doing here, because I did not have a template or any or I don't have a Cricut to make the shapes or the design, I am just using a little fashioned pencil and the paper, and I am tracing the arch onto the paper. I am making two of those because I am going to be needing one for the front and one for the back. So I made sure that I cut those out. So now when you cut this out, you want to leave a edge or a ring around it, because that's what you're going to be using to glue it onto the base of your or the body of your mailbox. So I am just eyeballing it. I'm not really measuring, and for right now, just kind of cutting it out to see what I will be needing to do. And once you cut all of these out, you'll see that I end up trimming it a lot more than what I have here. But this was the start of my shape. So I did pull out my scoring board again, so that way I could score those edges at the bottom, which is what's going to be gluing onto the base. And I am using my scoring board because it's a lot easier when you're folding things to make sure that you have that very nice and even crease. So I did that to both of the sides, and then when I pulled it out, I decided to go ahead and make sure that I went around the little grooves and did the same thing. Once I went around that, I traced the one. Once I saw that it was fitting good, I went and traced it onto the bottom part, so that way I could see get a better edge of where my folding was going to be. And then from there, just go and cut the little grooves all around, so that way it gives it the shape and it maintains that arch shape. You can see here on the back when I scored it what it looks like, and then just kind of trim it down on the corners to give it a little bit of the shape of little flaps that you are going to be gluing. So here you see trimming. So just gotta do a lot of trimming, and I even go and do more trimming after this, but I'll show you that in a bit. Well, while I'm doing this, like I said, I do apologize if it is a little bit my camera kept going out of focus, and I hadn't realized that until I was doing this voiceover. But like I said, I will link Dina's video below, so that way you can see this step by step. But here you're just basically getting the idea of how to create the body of your mailbox, and make sure that it's going to be a project that you want to do. I promise you, it is a little bit time consuming, especially if you don't have a template. But if you do, it's going to be a lot easier. But even if you don't, it is a lot of fun to create it. I did have a lot of fun making this, and I hope that my recipient enjoys it. Now, again, because I noticed that this was going to be quite a bit of a long video, I didn't want, I wanted to spare you from going through that. So this video is just going to include the process of creating the box or the shape, and I will be making another video where I decorate it and embellish it. I know that the picture at the front, or my first picture, shows you the final project. I actually forgot to take a picture of the box before I started decorating it, so I wanted to put something in at the beginning, and I put the finished project. But on the second one, I will show you exactly how I decorated, because that's just a sneak peek. It's not the whole project, and I will also be showing you all the goodies that I packed with it, and that I packaged together so that way I could send them to my recipient. Again, I am this is going to be my third swap, and I just gotta tell you, it is a lot of fun, and I do enjoy making things, especially when you're making them and you're making something for somebody else that that it is a crafty person as well, so they will appreciate the items that you're making. But anyway, so I wanted to give my flaps or my little doors a little bit more of a finished look, so I decided to cut two covers. So one was going to be for the back, and I'm using the same paper that I used before. So one's going to be on the back, and then one's going to be on the inside of the flap. This flap that I'm working with right now is the one that's going to be the front flap. So that's going to be your main little door that you open and close to put your goodies in. But I did trim another one. You can see it here on my bottom left, that it's kind of like a door shape. I put one to the back of my box, and then I am going to put the other one on the inside. For the outside of my box, I decided to go with the pattern paper. And yeah, it's not Valentine's yet, but I am making a lot of Valentine's themed projects. So I decided to use some of that paper that I had from Pebbles. So this one with the hearts there, it kind of matches because it is pink, it's not orange, but I thought it was very cute with all the foil hearts. So I decided to do that for the outside of my lid here, and you will see it in a sec. But like I said, I thought it looked cute. Yeah, it is a little bit red. It doesn't quite match, but I believe that once I finished embellishing it and decorating the final project, it kind of did match and it looked really good. So here I wanted to add a little bit of extra lining to the little flaps, because I wanted to kind of reinforce them a bit since they are going to be opening and closing. So I added that other one. And then what I did here is I cut up I think it was about an inch strip of paper, and I was holding it down with washi tape onto my base, so that way I can glue this little flap on. And I'm just prepping it so that way I can put it there and be ready to go. But once I had it ready, then I started putting it together, and it started to look like a little box, and it was just so exciting to see it. I know right now it is looking a little bit ugly because of the little grooves and stuff, but here you see that little flap that I was talking about, just putting it around it. I added glue, and then I'm just trying to add my little door to it. Now those little flaps was a little hard trying to get them on, because I didn't want to squish my project, so I did take it off and press it down on the outside, but then put it back on so that way I could finalize my project as I was working there. But yeah, so as I was doing that, just trying to make sure that everything was working fine and lining up correctly. This, I think, from the whole thing, this was the most time consuming or the more tedious part of it, because everything else was pretty easy. Especially the fun part was decorating it. But once you get through this, once you get past this, I promise you, you are going to fall in love with the project that you make. And if you're doing like me, if you're making a swap, you're not gonna want to give it up. But it wasn't for you in the beginning, so I had to give it up. But anyways, I'll probably be making another one so I can keep in my craft room. It would be really cute to kind of store little trinkets in there, or maybe store candy in there. Maybe I could hide a stash of candy in there so that way when my kids come in my craft room, they don't get it. I actually had this little drawer where I had a stash of candy and sweets, but my daughter found it, so now she was like, "Can I have some? Can I have some?" And now they're gone. But anyway, I'll probably have to find a new spot for me to hide goodies. Though that was probably a good thing, because I don't need to have that, right? Anyway, so enough rambling. I'm almost done here putting it all together and putting the flap on onto the area that I told you, like when you are putting it around. I did cut a trim of paper that was with that polka dot accent to put it on the inside to just kind of give it a little bit of decoration. And for that, and for the outside, I am using this red tape to glue it together. I've heard that this tape works really good, so I decided to give it a go. It is very strong, and it is going to hold it together because this little flap is going to be opening and closing, so you do want to make sure that you have it very nice, secure, and glued on. Now from here you can see that I'm trying to put the box in. I was kind of struggling a little, but that's because the bottom was a little too tight. So then I went ahead and cut those corners of the flap. So I kind of like adjusted them, but at the end I ended up still cutting them, just kind of fit better onto my box and make sure that they work. So snip, snap, there you go. And anyway, so I just glue the flap, and like I said again, it is looking a little bit ugly on the bottom, but we are going to be gluing another sheet of paper on the bottom, so that way it looks nice and sturdy. It's going to be nice and sturdy, and it's going to be looking nice and clean for you to put your project. So I use that tape again, and I am just opening my box so that way I can press it down, and there you have it, open and close. So now for the outside, like I said, I wanted to add a little bit of a different element. Instead of putting that trimming on the outside with the little polka dots, I decided to go with the little hearts and just put that on the outside and on the front of the door to just kind of add that decorative element and a little bit of something different to the box. I didn't want to use a bunch of different types of pattern paper or different things, but I thought that adding those little hearts would be a very fun touch, also because the foiling and with what I had in mind to decorate it with, so it all just worked out perfect. So I hope that you guys are enjoying this video, and if you do, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Also, don't forget to go visit Dina on her channel and come back for more crafty tutorials. Like I said, I am going to be having a part 2 where I am going to be showing you the embellishing and the goodies that I sent for my swap. So stay tuned for that. Though I am going to be waiting until my recipient gets her package and opens it, because I do not want to spoil any surprises. I like watching things, or I think the anticipation is a lot better, so I don't want to spoil it just in case that she does watch a video, for her to see what I sent her before it actually arrives. So here is where I'm cutting those, and I'm almost done. Isn't it looking already so super cute and adorable, guys? I don't know, this was a lot of fun. So like I said, I am going to have to be making some more and doing that. Now I've been a little bit busy, like I said, making Valentine's cards and stuff, and I also made some items that I listed on my Etsy shop. So if you're interested, I'll go ahead and link it below so that way you can visit me there as well. I do post pictures and things on Instagram of what I have going on, so you can visit me there as well if you're interested. But anyway, you don't have to, but otherwise I do appreciate you stopping by and watching my videos here and commenting, liking. That is always very appreciated. So here is my final little box. So I am just going to cover the front of it, and we're